Hi, Mr. Sunil. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm also good. Thanks for asking. Yeah, so let me quickly introduce myself. My name is Raghav, and I have been teaching for over 6 years. And yes, I'll be taking your class for the next 25 minutes. Over to you.
Okay.
Okay.
And the second indispensable thing is that I'm here to give some sort of new content to my YouTube channel. I'm also
Oh,
a YouTuber.
you're a YouTuber as well. Okay, that's good. Good thing as well. Okay, so and what do you want to have a topic? Do you want to have a speech? Do you want to have a debate, or do you want to just talk about anything, any particular topic? You can make me familiar. We can work accordingly.
Okay, we can go for anything that you have thought of, and whatever you are assigned to do, we can go for that.
Okay. To be very honest, we are not assigned to do anything. We can just,
Mm.
accommodate according to the visibility of the student as well. But since you are saying, so I have something in mind. So we can talk about debating, and the topic would be I would be choosing something which is, for the motion, and you can choose something which is against the motion. All right.
Mm.
So the topic for today's discussion would be TV versus
Mm.
newspaper. Okay, so this is something TV versus newspaper. So why I'm taking this topic specially because TV is something that gives you a ready-made piece of information, but newspaper you have to assimilate. So I believe so. I will be speaking against the newspaper, and you will be speaking in support of newspaper only. Works for you,
Yes.
all right?
Mm.
So we'll start. Okay. So how will I do? I will start my thing and you can present yourself. Then I will counter the questions accordingly. In today's world, I believe, Mr. Sunil, I believe it's very easy and convenient to follow up with the TV and in a
Mm.
haphazard life like this. Uh, it's better to go with television than newspaper. What's your take on that?
Okay. So I'm utterly in favor of reading a newspaper. Why I'm saying is that whenever we read a newspaper, we can choose things of our own choice, whatever article, whatever part we are interested in. And a newspaper comes with a variety of information. And whenever I read a newspaper, it's my personal experience. I usually get engrossed in reading and I get to learn so many new things. Talking about English and whatever I am today is just because of a newspaper. Whenever I read a newspaper, first thing is that I get multiple new word meanings. Apart from that, I also have a clear picture about how I can use a sentence or how I can frame sentences after reading a newspaper. And whenever I read a newspaper, I feel that I'm able to develop a different thought process. Reading helps me a lot in my thought process. And the another thing is that whenever I read a newspaper, I feel that I'm going to be good at spellings. So that's why I like to read a newspaper. And newspaper is one of the things that we can easily carry, and we can read a newspaper anytime. We don't need to look for the specific time when to read a newspaper and when not. So yes, that's it.
Okay. So let me, so what we can do is, after
Mm.
completing each segment, I'm going to give you the live feedback, okay? Instead of giving it in the last, because a lot of things go unnoticed, okay?
Mm.
So when you were saying, so you said a word develop, so the word is develop, okay? So how you can do
Mm.
this? So for that, how you can improve this? The word is develop first of all. So you have to understand how phonetics are used. I hope you're familiar with phonetics. Even not, I can explain you.
A little bit I know.
Okay. So you have to understand phonetics as well. So phonetics, what will phonetics help you? If there's a word that is, slightly bigger, more than 8 letters or 10 letters or even 6 letters, it will help you to understand that how you can pronounce that particular word. For example, a monologue. Monologue is the word. So you understand that, you have to break monologue into three parts so that you can articulate it very well. Okay, that is the only reason. You must understand phonetics. That's the first feedback I would like to give you. Okay.
Okay.
Second is, instead of you use some word, you can also use the word enrich. Okay. So it can enrich it can enrich my knowledge as well as my vocabulary. So you said it adds a new words to me, and I can learn new words. Instead of that, you should use vocabulary. Okay.
No.
So this is the example of for phonetics only. Vocabulary. Some people say vocabulary. So vocabulary is not the word. Vocabulary is the word. Okay. Take proper
Oh,
pauses. Then take your time to pronounce a particular word. Vocabulary is the word. Got
mm,
it?
yes.
Yeah. Next is, you said it's easy to carry. Instead of carry, you can also say it's feasible it's feasible to make it more portable, or it's a portable thing, as it can be folded and you can keep it anywhere. Okay. And the
Mm,
last word is convenient. Convenient is also a word which you can certainly use. Okay. And
right.
when you start debating with someone, always give respect to the other person. For example, thank you, Mr. Raghav. I have thank you for your kind words, but there's something I would like to present from my end as well. I believe newspaper. I'm utterly in favor of newspaper. You have started it good, but always give pretext to that you're ready to begin. All right, that's it. We are going to
Okay.
move to the next part. The next
Mm-hmm.
part is, I believe, on the television you get a ready-made news. Even on television, you have a mobile phone these days. Everything is ready to use. You just have to watch, go through, just scroll, and you will get the news immediately. But
Mm-hmm.
in the case of newspaper, you have to think a lot. You have to imagine a lot of things. What's your take on that?
Okay. So as you said that television offers ready-made news, that I have completely been against it. That
Sorry.
whenever I watch television, I'm always disturbed by a lot of ads. I don't like it. And what I have seen that if you watch television, so television gives you program to the limited time. But when you read a newspaper, you, as I have accentuated, that we are entirely free to read it anytime, and according to our choice we can read a newspaper. And the another thing is that without the recharge of television, like we have to get our television recharged. If you
Yeah.
do not get it recharged, yes, again it's no use keeping it. But when it comes to a newspaper, as I said, newspaper comes with a lot of benefits. After reading a newspaper, what I do is I think of using it in different ways. I can use it to wrap up food. Whenever people go to office, that point of time they can use a newspaper to wrap up their food. And again, if it and yes, I also use it in a particular way. That is that whenever I see that my floor is wet and my and I don't have anything to use, what I do is I put a newspaper there and it soaks all the water that is on the floor. That's how I use it. And I when I feel okay, I have an inordinate amount of newspaper with me. I sell it at the end of the month, and then I get some amount. So that's how I feel that it gives you tremendous benefits.
Yeah, it can give you tremendous benefits. Okay. So,
Mm.
you said when I have elected a newspaper, I don't like it. Okay. So that means there are two sentences. You are not joining those sentences. You are just using, I feel, when I've heard it, I feel you are using a comma in between. Okay. Which is not actually appropriate when you are speaking. So you should instead use which I don't like, which I certainly don't like. Okay, which is a connective word which we can use between two sentences. You should practice it and you'll understand it. Do you watch the recordings, by the way?
Pardon?
Do you watch the recordings that you take classes of?
Yes, sir. Yes, I do.
So, okay. So when you do the record, watch the recording, you can note it down, whatever suggestions I have told you.
Okay.
All right.
Mhm.
Yes, and you said when the floor is wet. I don't have anything. Instead of that, you can say when the floor is wet, and the rag is unavailable. Rag is the word. Okay, so you can say the word rag when the rag is missing. I certainly use newspaper to absorb the excess water, extra water.
Okay,
All right,
with all due your respect, that will it become with newspaper or a newspaper?
with the newspaper. With newspaper, if for example if you're using a particular thing, you can use a newspaper, or just newspaper is also fine without article
Okay.
okay. Yes, you can. My next question to you is, a teenager to read newspaper. It's okay for an elderly, a grown-up person to read newspaper. For a person who is of a certain age, we cannot for a person below 15 years, we cannot convince him to read newspaper. What is your take on that?
Depends on people, that what they are very much interested in. If they are interested in reading a newspaper, if they are interested in watching television, it is completely their call. And I feel that whenever we watch television excessively, it's going to have the repercussion on that person. But when we read a newspaper, I don't feel it is going to have any adverse effects. So it is always better to read a newspaper than to watch television. And if you watch television incessantly, someone will be there to tell you, okay, you have watched television enough, let's not watch it. But when it comes to reading a newspaper, then I don't feel there would be anyone who would stop you from reading a newspaper. And talking about the age, it completely, as I said initially, depending on the age, depending on the interest, then we can go for that. And what about the problem that we usually get from a television? I have seen people always fall ill. They usually have the problems of eyesights. Remote is always a bone of contention.
I
When
was about to say this. Very good. I was
Mhm.
about to say this.
Hmm. So it usually happens. If I talk about my family members, so we always quarrel because of the remote, that I want to watch something else, my father wants to watch something else, and my other family members do want to watch something else. So there is always a sort of fight among us.
Okay. All right. So yeah. So with this, we have to add few more. You will tell me five benefits which we can derive from newspaper, and five disadvantages which you certainly get from television. So you have to contrast in both the things.
All
Okay.
right.
Five.
Okay. Hmm. So the first evident benefit for a newspaper is that we can update our knowledge sitting at home. Second, people those who are interested in learning English, if they read a newspaper, it helps them to improve their communication skills. Third thing I would say, after reading a newspaper, the confidence you have, you can be the part of any debate. And a little knowledge is a dangerous thing. When you read a newspaper, you have appropriate knowledge, you can be the part of any debate. The fourth thing, I would say that there isn't any specific time to read a newspaper. Whenever you want to read a newspaper, you can read it. If you want to read the previous newspaper, the current newspaper, or the newspapers you are going to get, you can read them. Last thing I would say, newspaper, when we have a considerable amount of newspaper, we can sell them at the end, and then we can get some money in return. Talking about television, as I said, television, it has got a large number of ads which I'm always tired of. And then without electricity, without its recharge, it's good for nothing. The third thing I would say that if we watch television excessively, it's going to have some adverse effects on us. The fourth thing I would say, we cannot carry it. If I want to read, if I want to watch television on my terrace, it is not viable.
Yeah,
And the
it's and you
last,
can use. What is the word that you will use for you cannot carry it anywhere? If you have to use one word, what is the word?
portable.
Yeah, portable.
Hmm. So yes, and last I would say these days I don't feel there is anything worth watching on television.
Mm, okay. All right. So we have almost come to the end of the class. Now it's the feedback time. Okay.
Yes.
First of all, I'm so glad to say that you have got excellent vocabulary. I think you
Hmm.
read newspaper, and you are the right person to have the conversation with. Do you need to read newspaper?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, I can already see that because there's a lot of you have got a rich vocabulary. Okay, which I certainly recommend to other people that you should work on your vocabulary as well.
Hmm.
And second is got you have got a flow as well. Okay, you have got a nice flow, and flow is there. Okay, flow of English, which a lot of people are working on. You have that already.
Okay,
Okay, so
thank
now we have got the good
you.
part.
Hmm.
Now we'll work on the part which we need to work on. So
Yes,
let me
sure.
know if you understand.
Hmm.
First of all, your pauses are missing. Okay, so you are missing out on pauses. So what we have do you have to do is your pauses are you were missing. For example, immediately you jump to the second point, third point, fourth point. You'll understand when you see your video, you will understand that what I'm talking about. Okay, so if you
All
take
right.
immediate pauses, you have to work on your pauses. Okay, so how can
All
you
right.
do that? You can go to internet, you can go to Google or YouTube. You can check pauses and pauses and power. This is a topic in your speech. Okay, so for example, if we are talking about commas, there's a different pause. If you're talking about full stop, that's a different pause. If you're talking about semicolon, there's a different pause. Okay, and that pause becomes very evident when you keep on practicing. The other person can figure out that it's a it's a comma or it's a full stop because you have practiced it so much. So you need to work on that part only.
All right.
And second of all, you need to use the word connectives. Sometimes when you're stuck, you can use the word connectors. Connecting words can certainly help you, and that certainly can bring more flair to your speech as well.
Right.
Okay. So
Yes.
anyway, you're on the right track. I think you're an inquisitive learner, and you already, you're working on your speech. You're working hard on your language as well. Yes. So over to you. How did you find today's class?
Yes, it was really helpful. I really enjoyed it.
Okay. Did it add some value to your learning as well? Do you think you that added something to your learning that I'll be happy if
Yes,
there's any feedback?
yes, it did. It did. Yes, I'm going to work on the feedback that I'm given.
Yeah, just do watch the recording and
Yes.
do work on the pauses and power thing because that's really going to help you. Because I already feel that you are the right person to if you are having your own YouTube channel. I'm certainly going to look on it and do work on these things. You'll certainly go to another level. If you are on level 7, you will go to 8 after working on these things. Okay.
Okay.
Yep. All right, Mr. Sunil, it was really nice having a class with you.
Yes, same here. Yes, I really enjoyed.
All right, all right. See you again.
Yes,
Sometime.
okay. Take
All
care.
right, bye
Bye.
bye. Take care. You too. Bye.